Good morning. Welcome and good afternoon on the East Coast. I'm so glad you've joined us today. Today, we are going to rock your world. We're going to have so much fun. I want you to meet Ken Rochon. And before I tell you who he is, I just want you to know that you want to get a pencil and paper and you want to get some stuff together because we are going to have such a good time today. You are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. I'm so glad you've joined us. And this is brought to you by the Metadime Digital Network. And we are so excited to have Ken Rochon on it. If you don't know him, I want to introduce him my way because I want to tell you how I met him. We were both speaking at an event, and Ken is the smile per hour, the SPH guy. He is on a mission to help people smile more. And he's a photographer that goes around and takes pictures of all of us. And I actually have several pictures of you with the Smile campaign, taking pictures of people smiling. And he's also an award-winning entrepreneur. He's a serial entrepreneur. He is also a publisher, and he's also published as well. And we want to thank you, everybody, for coming on. Listen, if you're new here, put your name down below. We want to meet you. We want to have fun with you today. And those of you who are fans of the show who are just coming on, good morning. I just want to say good morning to Scott. Good morning to you. And of course, I do too. It's the first thing I told him. Thank you. I love the background as well. Good morning. Glad to see you guys popping on. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for coming on. Listen, if you want to participate in the conversation, all you got to do is hit that StreamYard link there, push the blue button, and join us for the conversation. Good morning, Ken, and welcome to the Coffee Break Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Vickie. I'm excited to be here. So I have to push some button to be part of the conversation. Is that what I have to do?
Well, that's what they have to do. You've already pushed the button. I sent you the button, and then we just go live. It's just fun.
Hey,
I want to let you
an extra
know
battery.
Oh, that's good. Just in case.
I feel like this show is going to be so much energy. We're going to need one more battery over here.
So I want to let you know, there's a lot of topics to talk about. There's so much we could cover, and I want to do this in an order where they can meet you. I want you to talk about your publishing business or your companies or some of the things that you've done, and also the project you've done with your son.
Well, first of all, this takes me a little surprise because you said we were only going to talk about one topic and it was going to be cars. So I spent the last 5 hours reading all these car magazines. So this is very unfair, Vickie.
I know. It's, those muscle cars. Those are the ones I want to talk about.
There you go. So, well, thank you for asking that, because I think the number one thing, especially in COVID, is this is a renaissance, and this is a time where we can be creative, but it's most important that we could actually create our legacy at the highest level. So many of us are moving and grooving, and we don't stop to actually collect all the gratitude and thoughts that we've had, and then to download them, and especially to people we love. So my son, I think I have his book handy. Yes, I do. He, at age 7, on his birthday, June 14th, which is Flag Day, got his first book done. And his next books, oh my gosh, there it is. Okay. I swear I've only been drinking water. He is, I want to talk about what it is to have a book, because I wrote this book for him about a year before. It was called Kenny's Favorite Things. It was my favorite things about him. And the reason I share that is, imagine you're the child, daughter, son, and your mom or dad gives you a book and says, Vickie's favorite things. Vickie's favorite things. And what happens is they're telling you what lights them up. And there's so many things that happen there. First of all, there's a confidence boost. Secondly, there's a love boost. But third and most importantly to me, there's a behavior boost. Because what happens is they see that right. I say, my favorite thing, Kenny, is when you give thanks before a meal. Yeah. My favorite thing is when you run into my room and you say, good morning, Daddy. And he may not even do this stuff all the time, but it's my favorite thing when he does it. So it modifies behavior. Well, the joke book, I thought of, what, Kenny's always trying to be a ham. Why not turn him into a lot more confident ham, meaning that he could get on a podcast, or because he's fascinated by these kids that have Minecraft shows and are making, by the way, it's not the money. It's not the money. But some of these kids are making 30 million a year, 10 million to 30 million a year.
Playing a game and letting people watch them.
Exactly.
It's
And I don't get it.
amazing.
I don't get it. I mean,
I don't either.
He'll watch it and I say, you know what? This is, I guess, what they do when someone watches a sport. You know, I guess, because I have to participate. I don't want to watch people play golf. And I don't even want to play golf, but if I want to play a game, I'm not going to watch it. I may watch the Super Bowl or the very highlights of it. But my point is, for him to be able to pick the jokes he wanted in his book caused him to be the author. For him to read each of the jokes and learn them, he has to tell me. He has to tell me like 2 or 3 jokes a day that he hasn't told me in a while. So he has to read them, put the book down, and he has to deliver the joke. So nice. The joke, it wouldn't seem like it's that important, but if you have the ability to tell jokes, you have the ability to bring joy to people. And if you have the ability to tell jokes, you have the ability to understand timing. And humor is another intellectual measurement. There's something about people that are super funny are typically pretty good problem solvers or thinkers, typically. And I'm an exception to that rule. So his next book is a riddle book, and that's about critical thinking and problem solving. And during COVID, we have been blessed with the opportunity to be homeschool teachers. Yeah. And when I got that opportunity, I found out he knows nothing. Like, here's this kid who's a future engineer, future coder. I mean, he loves math, problem solving, building these extravagant Legos things, but he didn't know anything about the world, history, chemistry, science, physics, all. And by the way, at 7 years old, I wouldn't expect him to know a lot of stuff, but it's okay for you to know H2O is water. And it's okay to know that H2O is hydrogen and oxygen. So he didn't know these things. And so I said, wow, this is my opportunity. I taught 8th grade science for 4 years. And I said, you know what? I'm going to teach him.
No idea.
Yeah, just fundamentals of physics and chemistry. And I loved it because it is actually the study of everything. The study of matter and energy is everything. You cannot have a science kid or a kid that hates science say, I hate science, and say, I don't believe you. Because if you hated science, then why are you using matter and energy? You can't use it.
I hate doing this. I feel that same way when people tell me I hate to read. I'm like, right. You're a liar. You love to read. Everybody loves to read. If you got a love letter from somebody that you are in love with and they wrote this letter to you and it was a great letter, you couldn't wait to read it. You'd be all excited. If you get instructions to this new system, this gaming system you're putting up, or this new you love to read. And it's you don't like to be forced to read something that you don't want to read. Nobody likes that. I get it, but everybody loves to read.
And text.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Text is the same thing.
Yeah, if we were ever worried about an illiterate society, it's amazing how many people communicate by text, and you're just bound to have people that have a command of the English language, so you keep improving your reading and your vocabulary.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that it's like, in the books that you've written for your son or for your family, actually, this is the things that I love about you. In our birthday year at our house, we have the beauty I see in you, which is the beauty I see in you. And then somebody will say what they love about you, et cetera. While you're, I have a hair in my eye right here. And I think it's one of mine, but, there's a,
hey, if you have extra hair, ship them over here. I need a couple.
Well, I'm keeping all the ones I got, because, there's so much that you can do for a child's self-esteem at an early age. And I think that was just absolutely such a clever, empowering way. I know that, like, women learn scrapbooking. So you can make a scrapbook of, oh, this is you when you were a baby, this, that, and the other. But the power of publishing something that they can read forever is like, if suddenly you were gone, this is my dad's favorite things about me. That's such an incredible gift, an incredible gift to have. So, Can
I tell you one more thing about that before we move on?
Yeah, I'd love that.
This is important that I don't forget this. On his birthday, when he received this book, do you know what his first question was? This actually says not only how smart he is, but how kids think and how our society is bent right now. You ready for this? Daddy, is it on Amazon? And by the way, when I told him it was, he says, show me.
Oh, nice.
And I showed him, and then he went like this. He goes, okay, it's legit. So he was guiding
Now he
people.
can show all his friends,
Right. Well, and he told people, he says, hey, you can buy my book and I can go to college. And so he got 40 book sales that way. Exploiting. I said, Kenny, whatever it takes.
Smart kid.
Not too bad. Not too bad. All right.
Man. So I read Kenny's 3 books. They're beyond awesome. Buy them from kids and grandkids. The science book is funny, and I learned so much for real. I mean, that's so cute. It's like, I like this brilliant kid. Start with the college thing right now. By the time you get done, you may have sold your way and bought your way into college by yourself for this smart man. I want to talk about one of your passions, which is inspiring smiles in the world. I want you to talk about that project. I've been a part of that project. I'm really proud of it. And I'd love for you to share with everyone why you started it, why you're passionate about it, and what they can do.
Do I have a couple minutes to share this story?
Yes, you do.
All right, thank you. Because I want to go back a little bit. I'm going to go back 7 years, but I'm only going to do it in a minute. So it'll just be 1 minute to tell 7 years.
You go.
So in 2005, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and this is relevant to why the Keep Smiling card was so important to me. So when she was diagnosed, I decided to help my mom as a caregiver. And 3 years later, she passed stage 4 Alzheimer's. And when she passed, it really woke me up that some things were true. One is what a difference she made in me, because she said you could do anything. And she was the one who, to this day, still reminds me every day, look for the good in people and you'll find it. And so, she had very great sayings, and she was such an advocate for the Indians, the American Indians, and just a real optimistic, just silly person. And she had 3 masters in reading, history, and English, and she never did a book. And she left this planet without a book. And so I committed myself to 2 things. I said, Mom, now that you're gone, I'm going to have a book done in 12 months, and it'll be my first book. I'd want to do a book forever. So I said, this is the catalyst. So I got it done in 13 months. It was called Becoming the Perfect Networker, Succeeding One Connection at a Time. And this is what it looks like. I never had it. And if without this book and the failure of this book, because it was actually a financial failure, I wouldn't have known how important it is to, and how hard it is, and why so many people say they'll do a book, but they don't get it done. So I jumped into publishing after doing some experiments on whether I was effective or not. And I think that some cool advice to people is that if you don't know how to do a book, then just start writing and do it for someone that you love and just have it for them. Because my dad is just celebrated his 80th birthday. I think it was 80th. And he's still not done a book. He still doesn't care about doing a book. He still doesn't care about legacy, even though he went into Vietnam. He finished #1 in his class in college, in also an officer-based course. The guy's super smart, and he was the first one to go to college. So back to this, how this all happened. Well, I prayed to God that God would tell me, what am I supposed to do with the fact my mom left? And I know I'm supposed to do a purpose-driven life, but what does that look like? And
beautiful. So
what resonated with me was a word called named Amplify. And I'd been a DJ before, so I named my radio show eventually Amplify. I have it on my license plate, everything. But Amplify is saying something louder without distortion. In other words, truth louder. It's truth louder. And so that resonated with me. So I had, at first, I was getting from God, it's amplifying messages. And it took 7 years, Vickie, and this is unbelievable because sometimes we don't know when God is going to give us the true, like, here it is. You went your journey. You did everything you're supposed to do. Here it is. Well, a gentleman named Barry Shore gave me a card, and it was a Keep Smiling card. And they look very much like what this little guy is holding right here. Oh, actually, I can show you pictures.
Yeah.
So everyone that's holding a card is holding the card that he gave me. And when I got that card, it was like the Blues Brothers, light. And I stopped my tracks. I took it all in, and I said, Barry, I forgot his name. I said, Mr. Shore, what are you doing with this? And he says, I'm giving it to people to remind people to smile. And I said, that reminds me of my mom. I didn't tell him that, but I said that to myself. And I said, are you creating a movement? Are you creating pictures? Are you telling a story? And he goes, no. And I realized that every single thing I asked him, and he said no to, I said, I can do that. I can do that. So we talked the following week. Long story short, he sent me 100,000 cards, and I went to work. I went to work on a movement, and I just believed with all my heart that this was what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it was a Johnny Appleseed type of moment. Like, it wasn't about money. It wasn't about figuring it out, not having a business plan. I am actually heckled quite a bit about doing this and not having a business plan, but it brings so much joy to me, my son, the people I meet, and magically God gives all the money I need all the time for the bills we pay.
Absolutely.
And I don't get it. By the way, well over $250,000 has been spent on the Keep Smiling movement, and I cannot recall $1 coming quote unquote from the pre-Keep Smiling movement. Like I didn't really say, hey, I got $5,000. Let me throw it into a movement. As a matter of fact, I told him, send me 100,000 cards. I'm on fumes. I've got 7 years. I've been looking for this light. So I take these pictures, and as you know, on Facebook, when you put a picture up, it lights up, especially back in the day with the algorithms. But it dies. It eventually dies, and it's gone. And no one's saying, I hope that picture comes back. So I said, you know what? Why not put them in a book? And I did, and the weirdest thing happened. Everyone wanted to see every picture of every page, and they would flip.
Yeah. You know, that's so important what you just said, because I think photography is something that speaks to human nature when you get it at its core essence. In other words, if it's authentic, people are riveted at looking at pictures. And one of the cool things about, because I've been at events where you've taken snapshots, and the first thing everybody wants to see is all the snapshots.
Right.
You know, that it's compelling somehow when you're just holding a card that says smile, you know?
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It is absolutely compelling I'm not sure why, but it just is.
Well, it's compelling because it reminds us what makes us happy. It also reminds us what makes us live. It also reminds us that when someone smiles, they're emitting love.
That's right. When someone smiles, they're emitting love. That's a quotable. Do you hear that, guys? Ken Rochon, when someone smiles, they're emitting love.
And I just want to say that World Smile Week is coming up. I think it's October 2nd. And we have these cards in 27 languages now.
Oh, wow.
And
that's fantastic.
And anybody that wants this book or a couple of the books that I could show you, they just have to, at the end of the show, I'll give the information, or you're privy to them. You have them as well. Mm-hmm. So you're welcome to share them. But to share these books is actually sharing a movement. To share these books is actually giving the gift to humanity. So we share, the average book gets about 20,000 views, which is pretty cool. Not too bad. Mm-hmm. And the person that actually is in the front cover, whoever that is, they get to have their story shared with the world. And it's kind of like a TED Talk. Can I break into that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would love that.
So the TED Talk is obviously the science of why something happens in the world, the phenomenon of how human nature works, or why things succeed, or just how results are occurring in the world. So Simon Sinek was famous for the why. And Simon Sinek's why was really related to a company brand. So I moved that into the center because I didn't think it was the front. I thought it was the center of what my story was, or my TED Talk was. The beginning is actually your journey. And I think a journey has to do with how persistent you are, how unstoppable you are to create the who that you are. And the more persistent you are and determined you are, the more integrity you have of protecting that who, because your character becomes very important. And the more that character and that who is fought for, the more it will align with a purpose that drives you. And so this is really, because I'm a scientist. So as a scientist, I just can't help myself. Like, what is a variable? How does that variable play out? So the variable of who is your journey. The variable why is your purpose, which leads to, there is a money part to this. And I'm happy to say that's probably why the money does come in, is the how. Yeah. So the who is you as a journey. The why is you as a purpose. And the how is how you actually deliver abundance, solve problems, and inspire hope. And all of them are actually true. Because if you inspire hope, you actually create a new possibility. So it's actually just
speaking my language. Preach it. Go on.
Come on, sister. Come on, sister.
That's right.
When you were coming in, when you zoomed in a little bit, I thought you were just making sure I didn't have any hair on my head. I was like, I'll lean in a little more if you want me to.
I have these perspective buttons, try to make it up close, when you're speaking and stuff like that. But
do the eyeball.
What you're inspiring in the world is so needed right now. We are at such a tipping point. And although I believe the end result is going to be phenomenal, and that it's going to be so, so good during this time of biblical, things unfolding, where we're looking at tumultuousness and uncertainty and anxiety and the question of, I'm not sure what to do next. If we smile a little bit and just calm down for a second, that inner purpose, like, Ken, I don't do anything without the little voice inside that talks to me and tells me what to do. If I don't hear it, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel it, know it, and it says go left, I go left. I have that intrinsic faith that it takes to walk into that, it's not even, it's purpose-driven life. It's like divine aligned life.
Right.
Full stop.
It's a calling.
I don't know how to live any other way. I don't know how. I'm not sure that I've ever not had that guidance guiding me all the way through my life. And I think what's interesting, what you talked about abundance, is we can always deliver abundance 100% of the time in our how. And when we look at our how we're going to do it, these are just systems that we plug in. And I actually love publishing. I mean, I've got, 30 or so out, or over that. And
That's
so
awesome.
I actually quite like that modality of getting the word out to people, because you can only see or talk to so many people in a day. And right now we have these fantastic tools, like here's Facebook Live. We can reach a vast audience. Books, you can reach a vast audience. But the number one way you can reach out is smiling. No matter where you are, it's speechless. It's contagious like a yawn. And it is a point of connection that doesn't need a communication with words. When you smile with that, you're just smiling. And you're allowing yourself to be seen by the world. When you laugh or you giggle, it's a type of it's like friendly vulnerability.
It is.
Just having that grin, that smile, that willingness to be upbeat in this tumultuousness, this uncertainty, this everything else. And I think it's such a transformational tool, and it's subtle, isn't it?
It is, and it's recyclable.
Yeah, it's, you can just keep doing it over and over.
And I have been to over 100 countries, and one thing I can tell you is true: a smile is universal. Music is the universal language, but a smile is the universal expression. And I have, with God's, God being with me, and my saints and my angels being with me, I have not had a problem when I've traveled the world. And I've traveled by myself to a lot of parts of the world, and parts that probably wouldn't even be recommended for a solo traveler. Because when you're carrying 20K in camera equipment, you're not just a human anymore. You're a bank. You're a bank. Yeah, you're a target. You're a mark. You're a mark. And I had a gentleman in South Africa ask me a question. He was a taxi driver, and he turned around to me at the end of the tour, and he says, "Why did you pick me?" And I said, "You smiled." And he said, "The reason I'm asking you is because 50% of the people would have seen your equipment, and they would have called their people in their own language. You wouldn't know what they're saying, and they would say, 'I have a target in my car. All you need to do is meet me at this particular intersection. Come with the guns, whatever, and take his stuff.'" And I gave him an extra $20 tip for sharing the story, not because he was honest, but I gave it to him because I needed to know that it does make a difference, that he smiled and that I smiled. And
Yes.
and I've had times when I have smiled that I could have been in a bad situation, but they said not him. So it's pretty cool. And I did a book that I will make available. I did send it to you. It's called The Science of Smiles. And it was my first time of taking my science career and combining it with my heart of what I feel, how important a smile is. Like, I actually went into the proof of what happens with smiles. And there's some very interesting things that happen. First of all, we call these books a dose of hope. So,
I love that.
And this one right here is a very special one. We give this away all the time. These are the 100 authors. So these are the people that actually wrote all the smile books.
Wow.
So there's 120 smile books, but the point of this is that these doses of hope, we made sure it was DOSE with periods: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, the beautiful chemicals God gave us that are released when we are happy. And in the art of the science of smiles, I bring out that when you smile, it's because your brain is saying you're happy, but you're recycling it. You're not just giving you the gift, you're giving others the gift, because the stronger force always wins. So if love is the stronger force, it will win.
That's right.
Well, here's the crazy thing. And I can't believe at my age in doing this book that I had this like learned epiphany, but it said, when you're not happy. Okay. So when you are happy, it's sending to the muscles, all these lovely muscles down here that I think it's 36 of them. Let's go ahead and smile and create that. And so the brain says, good, we're congruent. But when you're not happy, if you smile, it actually goes to the brain and says, why am I smiling down there? I must be happy. So you shift. So you shift. And that's why most of our books have the word shift in it. Because if you're in the worst mood ever, what you told the universe is, this is what I'd like to have more of today. This is what I'd like to attract today. I'm in a really bad mood, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I can substantiate, I can articulate it, I can excuse it, and I will not bend. But if you actually say, what am I grateful for? I'm going to shift. Yeah. I'm going to get out of this bad, funky space. And everything I've done typically for a year to see how well it works. And I don't have to shift very much anymore. It's almost automatic. It's so programmed in me.
Yes.
And so people that maybe are not smiling enough, a kid smiles, let's say 200 or 300, 400 times a day. An average adult might be smiling 20, 30, 40 times, maybe 50, 60. If you start using gratitude as the exercise vehicle of actually instilling that smile again, then you're in front of the mirror and you're thinking, what am I grateful for? And if you can come up with 10 things, 100 things, whatever, what happens is you actually start programming, just like an exercise, how to feel happy again.
Wow.
And that was the Science Smiles. And it was my favorite book to do, because I could actually get on a stage and articulate why smiles create abundance, why smiles actually make you feel alive, why smiles stop you from being tired, why smiles cause you to be attractive, why smiles, it's every single, there's like 21 things that we have on a list of all the beautiful things that come out of just practicing smiles.
Wow. My heart is really melted right now. There's two things about this that are really palpably empowering. One is the science of your smiles. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But there's also this part, Ken, that you're talking about, that is the empowerment of being connected to God, to the universe, to everything, that connection. And the connection that is the smile piece for me is, and the thing that melts my heart is the exhibition of your faith. It's just so naturally there. You know how those people that ooze of happiness, or they ooze of joy or love, you ooze faith. And when I'm here with you, what I'm realizing is there is a point of abundance where abundant faith has given you just this amazing life experiences and these amazing projects to work on, and these amazing personality traits that you just ooze when you're there. Because when you're at the events, and you're like, will you hold this and smile, hold this and smile? And you're talking to all the speakers that are there, hold this and smile. The way that you can get the room to say, okay, we're all going to stop and take a photo op with you. That faith and that purpose-driven life. I think it's beautiful how you've unfolded that in the world, and that created that faith. And I like this. Music is the international language. A smile is the universal expression. Such a beautiful thing. Hey, Susie, nice to see you on, my friend.
Hey,
Hi,
Susie.
everyone. Congratulations on finally getting your beautiful idea off the ground. You and Andrea are an amazing team. God is good. Yes. They absolutely are. And hey, nice of you to pop in today. And I love that you're here, Susie. Thank you for joining us. So
she creates some wonderful events where there's lots of leaders. And I actually want to segue into the main thing about the Smile movement was to actually celebrate leaders. And it was specifically to celebrate leaders who lead with their heart. Because if you lead with your heart, you lead with love.
That's right.
And so Susie's such a dynamic person. She has been attracted to some of the best people. And so when we go to these events, it is not just hold the card. It is actually there's a different expression. I want to make sure this is clear, because we're not paparazzi in these cards.
That's right.
We are actually saying to someone like you, Vickie, we're saying, Vickie, you have such a beautiful smile, or you exude so much positive energy. Can I capture it and can I honor you in a book?
Yes, that is how you work. That's exactly how you work.
Because when I'm touched by your smile, I'm actually saying, can I capture it and give it back to you?
Yeah.
Right. So that's actually the reason the card is connected to the smile, is because we say specifically, hey, when you hold this card, would you think about what you love? Think about what you're grateful for. And then they get the best photo, the zygotic muscles in the eyes, everything just opens up, the soul opens up, and they say, I have to have that photo. And they show it off to the world. And we know they're going to do it, but it's also for them to be reminded that's when they're alive. That is when they're truly alive. I actually
Yes.
wanted to thank Karen Epley for what she does for the Keep Smiling movement, and that she connected us in some way, shape, or form to this show. So I want to thank her. And I want to give a shout out to Andrea Adams Miller. She is the director, executive director of the Keep Smiling movement. And for those of you who do not have happiness in your heart right now, I do just encourage you to take a couple seconds and just give gratitude for what you do have, because
Yeah.
it's so much. It is so much. And
That's
when you
right.
have it, it lights you up. And then you remember you're alive again.
Yeah, I want to drop here the woohoo, the science of smiles equal abundance, energy, and attraction. I feel so blessed that my parents allowed me to get braces after they came off. I smiled until my cheeks hurt. It set the stage. Thanks for the memory.
That's awesome.
I like that. Thank you so much. And you guys, in each one of the, in the conversation down below, all his books are being up there. You can go ahead and talk about this. I want to turn the conversation a little bit now, because smile is a dose of hope. Dose stands for smile chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Man, so you guys are doing this. Thank you. This is just this is fantastic. I want to talk about bullying, because I know that you also are teaching bullying, or not to bully, and I want you to talk about how you got into that, why you're doing it, and how this extends into your life and the Smile book as well.
This is a big story, and I'll just say, as an Army brat, you're always the new kid in town every time you
That's
move.
right. Got that.
And I've had the works done to me as a kid that just didn't feel like being a mean kid. You know, you're victimized for maybe being a little smaller, or just not being a fighter, not fighting back. So in Germany, I loved playing soccer 2, 3, 4 hours a day, but that didn't necessarily protect me as a great soccer player from not being bullied. It's overcoming that initiation part. But I've had my face put into the worst stuff, and I just remembered, why would anyone do that? Why would
Yeah.
anyone do that? And it didn't make sense to me. And so in the background, at first, I was like, I'm weak, or I'm the problem, kind of thing, because that's what a kid that's being bullied thinks initially, that they should hate themselves because they're not being loved. But it's quite interesting when you really analyze, and I wish I had this book handy, but I did send it to you. It's called Making Friends Around the World. It is my most important book I did. It took me 8 years to do it. I went to college. I went to college and took 13 languages. I took 13 languages to learn how to write every one of them impeccably.
Wow.
And the reason I did this is because I learned something about bullying. Bullying is someone not celebrating the difference of someone else. And so they have to get that difference to actually be belittled, and they have to make the part that they're different shine. And so bullies, in essence, are people with such low self-esteem. They have to build it by shattering someone else's self-esteem. And that's sad. But the reason I took a real focus to this, because I saw how avoidable it was. And I saw that the real victim was the bully. Ironically, it's not that we hug the bully and say, hey, you just don't.
Yeah.
It's that bully is the one to feel sorry for, not the victim. The victim needs to actually learn how to help the bully. In a way, it's because it's weird. Any victim that has either stood up to the bully or actually loved the bully, it shifts them. The bully can't be the bully anymore. So I came up with this Making Friends Around the World because I had a theory, and the theory has never been tested to the level I'd like it to. I wanted to be adopted by school systems. So anyone that has that power, I'm very confident as a scientist that this human behavior would actually come close to ceasing. Imagine a bully that speaks one language, and that language is English, and they speak it okay. That is nothing to be proud about. Okay. And there is a joke to this in another one of my travel books. It's someone speaks 2 languages, bilingual, 3 languages, trilingual, 4 languages, quadrilingual, or polyglot. Someone that speaks 1 language is an American. So we have our share of people that speak 1 language in this country. But if you have a bully and they were to be taken in and learn another language, and teach my son French, my wife teaches him Spanish, you have this level of actually communicating. And there is a cure for discrimination. You want to hear what it is?
Yes.
It's what Susie does. It's travel. You cannot discriminate in travel.
That's right.
So
you end up being a world citizen just like that.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
And I have a joke book that is right here. And it's a joke book, and it says quick solutions to world problems. And I give this book away, and it's 2 pages long, but it says in the back, we can go back to the beginning of time and learn bullying, gossip, inequality, and judging are just some forms of discrimination that has held back mankind. The reason we argue, fight, and go to war is because we don't know how to appreciate differences. This book takes on a problem that is, if unsolved, could cause the extinction of our species. Now, for a joke book, that's pretty heavy duty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who wrote that? God.
Of course.
I couldn't believe it. I was typing and it came out in less than a minute. I mean, it was unbelievable. I read it and I said, I don't know how I did this. I didn't know how I did it.
Cool.
And so the first part is addiction.
Yeah.
Second part is discrimination. Third part's traffic. So I don't know if anyone's ever read a book on your show and finished it, but I can finish this book in roughly 30 seconds. You ready?
Do it.
Okay. So 3 serious world problems: addiction, discrimination, and traffic. We are now halfway done with the book. 3 solutions to world problems: addiction, just stop it; discrimination, just accept people; and traffic, just go. So that is how simple bullying is to accept people. And bullies can't do that because they're in an inward hate to themselves. So
and that's the point right there that I want to touch on for a second, because I thought it was so powerful. It's meeting that inner hate and even acknowledging that you have it. And it's so in adults as well. It's more in adults than I think it's in the kids. Adults, we are unwilling to face our own self-hate or our own, shame or our own, but especially men, because they're taught that to face that is weak.
Right.
And they're taught that they can't cry, they can't, or you're weak if you cry, or you're weak if you're sensitive, or you're weak if you're this, or it's like men aren't allowed to be weak.
You just reminded me. You just reminded me of my uncles. My uncles were macho union men and enlisted military. And when I got back from Germany, I didn't know that you're not allowed to hug a man. And they were my family. So I would go and hug them and they would just be like this trunk and they didn't know what to do. And over time, they would, because I wasn't going to stop. When I found out they didn't hug and I knew hugging was healthy and love, I kept doing it even more. And so they had to actually start doing it too.
But it's that line drawn. It's like at one point I was so tired of hating myself and who I was in the world, just hating it so badly that I literally spent the most money discovering me and trying to figure out how to turn that hate into self-love, because that's the journey. The journey from self-hate to self-love solves everything, but it allows you to grow faith and surrender in the divine and be able to meet yourself in a way that allows you to become gentle in the world naturally. Mm-hmm. People who love themselves are not violent, and the people who love themselves they admire what your path was, what your journey was, what your successes are. People who love themselves love to see other people succeed, because they can enjoy themselves and enjoy you without trying to run you over in order to be seen or heard. They're just with themselves.
And I just want to expand that hate is an illusion of fear, and it's illusion. It's illusion of not being loved. And there are many people that carry this with them because something happened in their childhood that maybe 80-90% of it is not even true. It's an interpretation of something. I'm not saying that every single time you're having a problem with a parent or something that's not true, but I'm saying most times it's misinterpreted. And you go back to that parent 20 years later or 30 years later, and this was actually, I saw this a lot in landmark education, is that they rekindled conversations that were impossible because they couldn't be addressed. And when you have that conversation, this is how you made me feel, and this is how I felt. And then you have this oh my gosh, there was so much misunderstanding, and the clarity causes tears, it causes relationship, it causes love, and all of a sudden you shift in this amazing, powerful person because I was holding you back and you allowed it to.
Yeah, and I think bullying, just in a bumper sticker, is a lack of self-love.
Yes.
It's like if you have to bully, if you have to put your thumb over someone, if you have to belittle, dismiss, be ingenuous with someone, you have a lack of self-love in yourself.
I do want to talk about this this interpretation these bullies have, because there's another aspect to it that's pretty serious. There's actually truth to it too. They feel no one loves them, and it's true. It's true sometimes that no one loves them because no one has taken the time to actually say you matter. And I heard this person 2 years ago at a board meeting, and it had to do with inner city Black kids specifically in DC. And she said, it was either her or her board member said, do you know the difference between if someone that cares about a kid, do you know what the chance of their graduating school is? I said, no, 96%. And we're talking a human, not even a leader, not a mentor, not a qualified coach, someone that cares. Because look at Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. His mom cared emphatically about him reading, even though she would never be able to tell him she could read. And so one person caring. And so if you think about the one person, like Clint Eastwood's had some nice movies about how he takes care of somebody. And if you look at whether it's teaching them how to protect themselves, whether it's teaching them chess, teaching them to play cards, teaching them words would be really great. Because I have this book. The one book I'm so excited about. For 3 years I've been working on this sucker. It is called The Power of P. And you can imagine how a 7-year-old would be like, oh, pee, poo, right? So that's obviously where their mind goes. But the power of P are words that, when programmed into a child, will probably serve them to have the highest amount of success and abundance in life. And the words are P, prayer, patience, practice, powerful, persistence, etc. I have roughly 12 words.
Beautiful.
Playful. And I found that these 12 words, if a kid learned them and how they apply to life, they would actually become that
Fantastic.
P, the power of themselves.
Wow, that is fantastic. That's inspiring, actually. Those are great kids' books. There's something about your ability to write kids' books that is just, wow, it's enviable. It's just
I haven't grown up yet, Vickie.
What would I like to know? So many world problems have the most simple solutions. That's true. I want to go back here, and you can make the difference, showing them the world didn't end and they didn't melt when you hugged them. They survived, and then probably secretly enjoyed it. That's true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
some
Robin.
Of you, this is a big one right here. Just a second. Hate is an illusion of not being loved. Ken Rochon. Yes. Susie, during the events that I have with you, Ken, especially when I first met you and you were doing everything with Andre to get this off the ground, what touched me the most is when you would make time to call your sons. And even though something perhaps didn't go the way you wanted it to, you were just so sweet and gentle with him. I knew then the prayer I sent up that your program would get off the ground would happen. You and Andre are an amazing team. That is such a great testimonial. Thank you, Susie. That was very generous of you. And I love this. The power of P leads to success, prayer, patience, powerful, persistence, playful, etc. I can't wait to this. I know. Isn't that the cutest thing? Let's look at this. Look for Ken's next book, The Power of P. That's just a bestseller already.
So for Susie, I'd like to say something to her, because
sure.
A travel agent helped me get around the world. And we talked about the real disintegration of bullying and hate is to actually travel. And I was traveling, and I got to something like my 10th country or something like that. I was in the China Sea, and there was a typhoon, and so we couldn't go to Vietnam, we couldn't go to Seoul, and all these ports were being blocked because this was a really bad storm. And even tore the letters off the side of the Princess.
Wow!
It was pretty bad, and so they had to come up with activities, because it was 3 or 4 days extra that we weren't seeing ports, and one of them was called Century World Travelers. And I went to that, and it changed my life. And I just wanted to say to Susie what an important job she does for people, because I learned a quote shortly after that. It was by St. Augustine. And it goes something like this. Don't tell me what you know, tell me where you've been.
Yes.
And so I will tell you, Susie is just a champion for people actually living a life that is full, because so many people think, and it's an illusion, just like the fear and the hate, is that this is the way life has to be. But the best thing you can do is get uncomfortable and call
Yeah.
someone like Susie and book something to something. I still want to go to Taj Mahal, but it's the only one of the 7 wonders I haven't seen. I haven't been to Antarctica, but I've been to all the other continents. And those are my 2, like they're on my radar right now. So Susie, if you're listening, let's figure this out.
Did you hear that, Suze? Taj Mahal.
And Antarctica, not necessarily the same
Antarctica.
trip. Not necessarily
It's
the same
like,
trip.
such different,
Yeah, but
Antarctica.
I went on a
Your
57-day
suitcase is going to be really packed.
Well, I went on a 57-day trip, and by the way, on a ship, it's not as packed as you think, because you can rotate your clothes. And I'm wearing some clothes I found out from somebody. These are great travel clothes because they you can wad them up and make them really small, and they don't smell. You just put them some water on them, and you're good to go again.
Wow.
I've been wearing this every single day since COVID started.
Wow. Oh my Lord. I've been wearing this every day since COVID started. You're cracking me up. Hey, I want to share this with you right here. Let's see. See, everybody's laughing in the background at your with that. Thank you. What you feel can make you smile. When you smile, it makes you feel like your smile. By understanding the science of smiles, you are what you do. Smile. The science of smile. Thanks, Ken Rochon. Thanks, you.
Donald.
Look at this. Here we go. Ken, I'm on it. That's right, Susie.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I take it she's a travel agent, and I don't know.
Oh, yes, and I'll share something that actually is relevant to her. I'm going to send this to you, Susie. This is The Art of Travel, and it is.
Oh, gorgeous. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
So it's a representation of most of the 100 countries I'd been to. And for those of you on this show that want to see what you can see, these are as ebooks. The thing I'll recommend highly is do a book and make it an ebook and give it away. Don't charge the dollar. Don't have the stop of $1. And when you have a physical book that can change someone's life, like this,
yeah,
or even something as simple as this, don't charge for it. Just give it to people that it can make a difference, because that karma comes back in the weirdest ways. I can't explain. I give 1,200 books away a year, physical books. Now in COVID year, I don't think I'm going to be giving so many books this particular year, but I give upwards of 1,200 books because I give them to my host. I give them to people that touch my heart. I give them to people when I hear that they have a love for something. I say, you know what, you would love this book. And if I have 30 books, they can sit in my garage, or they can actually start touching people's lives. And what happens is magic. Someone says, I want to do a book. Or I have someone that you should talk to. Like the nicest things come out of it.
Every time I go speak. In fact, sometimes at some of Ken's events, I will just go in with a box of books and say, I have nothing to sell, talk and give the book away, and then let that simmer. But you're right. It's planting seeds in the world.
Right.
It's a way of planting seeds. And that the planting of seeds it's like one mind at a time changes. I love this, Scott. Been a while since I laughed this much this early in the morning. Thank you. Let's see.
Vickie, it reminds me of, for every action, there's a reaction. For every smile, there's a smile. For every book given, there's someone that's touched by the book that it comes back to you. So it can't stop. It is another way of saying karma, but it's actually a more exact way. It's really the science of it. The energy cannot go one way without coming back.
And it's weird too, because I want to talk about this. I'm very blessed. I have a life where I live a great amount of joy. And I train that joy into my life from a young age.
I was going to say, there's no luck in that.
Now.
There's no luck in that, Vickie.
I train that joy into my life, and I have this process where I feel that joy, and I feel that from you as well, Ken. While we're talking, I'm like, this is a person who lives in joy. And I want to let you know, if you're watching this right now, and I don't know if you're on YouTube, I don't know where you are, but if you're feeling unhappy and you're feeling frightened, or you're feeling whatever you're feeling that is an uncomfortable feeling, just like Ken said, that feeling is trained into you, and you can untrain that. And it's weird. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to take Prozac. You can start doing that simple modus operandi of smiling and even forcing yourself to smile in that way.
And Vickie, it is so important what you're saying right here, because this is a conversation you're having with the universe, with God, with yourself, that
Yes.
you are congruent, that this
Mm-hmm.
energy that you are going to put out, you're going to be welcoming and receiving. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to let you know, and I want to let your audience know this. My wife is sometimes baffled that I'm happy all the time. And I say that from a standpoint, when COVID happened, 99% of my verticals come from events, my photography, my speaking, my publishing, everything was like that. But
I know.
yeah, exactly. But I'm not kidding you. It did not even have one day. I just went to prayer.
That's right.
I just went to prayer, and I said, God, tell me what I'm supposed to do with this. And I did call it an opportunity. I honestly did. I know that sounds weird, but I've published 30 books, 5 of them for my son during this period. I've never produced so much stuff, and I do it almost with ease. I can't even explain it. It's so much fun, and it's not work, and magically things are happening. I don't even want to even try and figure it out. I'm just happy it's happening.
Yeah, Scott, thank you. Yes, smiles get mirrored so quickly. I love this right here. For every smile, there is a smile. I like this. Soul prefers giving. Yes, it does. The soul is happy when it is giving, 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 and in an authentic way, being led by that piece of the divine. The soul prefers giving. Donnie, that's such an important thing.
Yeah, and actually that speaks to my philosophy of partnership. So if you adopt I took Bob Bergen and I put my own spin, and then some of my own experiences together. But I came up with a definition for partnership that is, I think, very valuable. For any of you who've had bad partnerships, it probably was missing a component of this. So the perfect partnership is a verbal agreement that 2 people will competitively, unconditionally give to each other.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's all deposits. It's all deposits, Vickie. It's not withdrawals, and that's what happens in every partnership, including marriages that dissolve or disintegrate or terminate. They are taking until the point of who is taking more, instead of the competition of giving. It's the competition of taking. So I have found that to be absolutely insane, that you actually can never have a partnership go down. It actually only rises because you are competing to give to the other.
That's correct. Wow, that's enlightening. And no wonder why I live in joy. I live in joy because I live that kind of relationship and didn't realize it till you poked it. And suddenly I'm still fighting tears right now as I realize, God, how fortunate I am. I always tell everybody, I may not know what God is. I may not know the whole big theory of God. I only know that whatever God is, he spends a lot of time looking after Vickie Helm. And I'm really grateful for that. You know what I mean? I just really like that. Let's see. There is, I like this. I got excited just hearing and reading that. Yes, thank you. Want to pop in? Hey, Martin, I see you there, bud. Can you find and fulfill God's will for you in the most beautiful way? Yes, in a beautiful way. Yes, 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 because it's so authentic, so quiet, and it just kind of silently reeks off him. The man is in today, Martin. It takes less muscle and energy to smile than to frown.
It's actually, and it's 36 versus 63. It's so weird. Isn't that crazy? 36 to smile, 63 to frown.
Wow, it is. I try to give more to my wife. Yes, yes. It's interesting because you don't realize you're doing it, where you're giving. And in that moment, the amount of wakefulness, the awareness, and how deep the relationship is after that is something that's really profound that I never even noticed.
Yeah, and it's actually,
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and there's a number side to it too, and everything has numbers if you want to see how things work. But in partnership, if you look at that equation of unconditionally giving, so people do the 50-50, and what it is, I think it was either Jack Canfield or Brian Tracy, but it's 100-100.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's not less.
Yeah, it is. It's 100-100. Yes, Martin, totally agree with that. Okay, here we go. Joy is my favorite word. Yes, next to mom. Joy is so much bigger than happiness.
Yes.
Yes, because joy and happiness, joy is enriching somehow. It's prosperous. It has a feeling of abundance to it when you feel joy.
It has celebration too.
It does. It's so joy is, I agree with that, Karen. I love the word joy.
Yeah, Karen, I wanted to disagree, but I can't. It's just too, it's too correct.
Yeah, we tried to disagree, but we just couldn't do it, Karen. Okay, so let's see. A perfect partnership is competitively, unconditionally giving to each other. Ken Rochon. Beautiful quotable right there. The perfect partnership is competitively, unconditionally giving to each other. Wow, that is just
The thing I'll
so
add to
cool.
that, just so that the quote is complete, is it's a verbal agreement. So the two parties are actually saying it doesn't have to be written because
Yeah.
the word is their bond. The word is actually their character. So I only add that part because when the agreement happens, then the magic happens in that
Yeah.
agreement. Okay.
I like this. Cool. 36 versus 63 mirror image. Yes. And Karen pops in. Martin, great observation. I'm so glad you are here. Me too. Whoops. Sorry. Hang on. Joy is a celebration on a soul level. Yes. And here, joy is internal and shines outwardly, and happiness is dependent on circumstances or can be dependent on a circumstance. I try to empower mine by being grateful every day. And, it's interesting too, because I want to talk about the practice of gratitude and smiling, because I think the two go hand in hand. I think smiling, when you're sharing a smile with somebody, you're sharing the first level of permissible intimacy with someone. Even when it's a kid, it doesn't matter. If you meet someone, when you first meet them and you shake their hand and they're not smiling, or you shake their hand and they're smiling big, there's an invitation in the smile that says, yes, we can connect.
Mhm.
And I think it's almost a silent asking permission when two people smile. It's good to meet you. And I love that connection is the ability to go deeper.
Can I interject?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what you're saying is extremely important, and there's a tool or a tactic strategy that you can utilize that will probably change your life with regard to how you stay connected to people at an event. So a lot of times when people go to events, there is a business card exchange that is almost pathetic. Like, it doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
get 50 cards or 30, you get home and you're like, I don't know who the faces are or anything. So one thing that Andre and I have skillfully changed into almost a science of staying connected is you take a picture with the person next to you on a selfie and you get their information, and then you can scroll during a COVID, you can scroll 10 and find 10 that you haven't talked in a while, and you send them that picture again, and you say, hey, I remember that smile, I remember that happiness, and you don't know what's going to evoke.
Nice.
And I'll tell you the other thing is, when someone sees a picture of someone they know in the book, they say, oh, I haven't talked to them, and I go, take a picture right now. And so they'll take a picture of the person
Smart, and
and
send it.
then they revitalize the conversation. So I think too often
Cool.
we're paying all this money to be in an event, and we're collecting information, we're trying to collect content, but one of the biggest, easiest little leverage points is just to get that picture with somebody smiling with you, and you have just created really trust. There's trust.
That's right. It's interesting that you're mentioning this, because when I meet other people that I want to connect with or remember or whatever, I always take a picture with them, a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
And later when I connect to them, however long it is, I send the picture. Remember, this is the picture we shot together, etc.
Right.
And I love the way that you did that, because it's such a connector when you're doing that. I want to talk about business cards and what my mentor told me one time. And ever since then, I've never used a business card again. He said, if you have to give someone your business card, you haven't done a good enough job. And I was like, what does that mean? You haven't done a good enough job. You're either memorable or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, how do you become memorable? Such a great way that you just shared how to become memorable when you take
Mm-hmm.
that picture, you take that snapshot and everything else. And it's a way that business cards, I think, are just not enough. They're like,
They're not. They're a
you,
small tool. They're a small
yeah,
tool.
so
And,
small. And that
but
connection with the picture is perfect.
Well, and there's some ninja stuff you can do still. So you get a card from somebody, you say, "Hey, I have to confess to you, Vickie, I get all these cards. I'm not going to remember your face. Do you mind if I take a picture with you and we do a selfie together?" Take the selfie, then you take a picture of the business card.
Yeah.
Right in
It's
the
interesting.
along with that. So you got both graphics together.
Love it. I love the picture now, and we're so video oriented, but somehow in the conversation, I don't know about you, but have you ever been to like a party where there's one vivacious person in there, and the party ends up centering around conversations around them because people are attracted to that, authentic
I
vivaciousness.
always I always tell
Love
Vickie, yeah, Vickie, I always tell people leave me alone because they're always trying.
it. It would be you. But the power of that energy, that vivaciousness, that smile, that friendliness,
Right.
that warmness, nobody is attracted to the light if it's dark, but everyone in the room, bugs outside. It doesn't matter wherever the light is, wherever the light's showing through, wherever the light comes out, everything comes towards it, full stop, effortlessly. And when you are that light, effortlessly, you're memorable. People want to do business with you. They want to talk
Exactly.
to you, etc.
Well,
Um,
that's because first of all, it's infectious, and the second thing is you're actually giving off that you are here to please. So
mhm,
if you're doing business and you're smiling and you're in that realm, you're actually
mhm.
saying that's what I want to deliver to you. I want
Yeah.
you to experience this.
Yeah. I love the way you said that because I always say it's, a mutually beneficial venture, whatever it is, mutually beneficial. And it has that. Scott says, this is why I don't have cards. But I always take a picture of the people that I add to my contacts. I
Yes,
do too. Yeah, he always does. He has that little picture so you know
very
who's there.
important. Yes.
Yes. Susie's here, and she says, when you first introduced that idea of taking a picture of the person smiling with you, my next trip was to Qatar. It was one of those buses that the top is open. I took my camera and finally implemented your idea of being in the picture with them, and I did that. And all throughout Europe, I sent those to you to let you know we were spreading the
Yes, I
smiles.
remember. I
Oh,
remember. Yes, she's awesome. And
yeah,
I think it's Qatar that she's saying. Qatar is such a gorgeous
Qatar.
part, yeah, of the world. Yeah.
Where is Qatar?
It's in the Middle East.
Ah,
Doha is the airport. I don't know what part she was in, but it's close enough to all those wonderful countries like the pyramids and Egypt.
wow, that is really something. All the 100 countries that you go
And
to.
those people, I'm telling you, I'm so different than what they look like. If you're going to the Middle East, you don't look anything like them. And you smile and the eyes connect and you get to smile back. It's just so friggin' cool. I,
Yeah,
but you know what? It's about loving people. It's about loving humanity. Because
yeah,
it's the smile is not coming, so I can actually say that I'm friendly or something. I'm actually saying I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy I'm in your country. I'm love. And so you do that. You know, the French have this bad reputation for being just really jerks and everything. But I've been to France. And I'll tell you, I've never experienced anything close to that. The smile will conquer all. And they are the nicest people in the world. And Russians, my gosh, Russians, they are so cold and they don't talk to anybody on the subway. But but you're in their house and they host you and you feel like a king. They want you to feel the love. But on a subway, it's just that's the nature of how they commute. They're just kind of like this. But if you were to able to connect in the subway, it'd be the same exact thing. It's not that they're mean or anything like that. It's just that is their culture, that you're just kind of quiet in yourself in the subway. But I have not found one part of the world that it really was the smile didn't conquer and say, "Hey, I'm just like you."
I want to say to everybody watching, this is the theme right here, and it's really true. Sometimes we make life so complicated, and it is as basic as the smile that will conquer all. I mean, it is just the fundamental openness it's like when you smile, you are saying, I'm open. And that calms everyone down. Just that one, the smile will conquer all. I love this. And even Scott, the smile will conquer all. Isn't that just profound simplicity in life?
Mhm.
That connection, that value, the thing that you can take with you when you die is how much love you feel, how many smiles you had, and then the connections you made in the world with yourself and another. And
Yeah.
that's what life is.
And I have a TED talk that is brewing right now, and you addressed at the very beginning of the talk. You said SPH, smiles per hour. So as a scientist, I want to say that the higher SPH is, the more smiles you're doing per hour. I guarantee you, the more abundant you are. I guarantee it. I cannot find one exception to this. I've been studying this for years, and I had to coin a term like, what is this measurement of the amount of smiles? It's SPH. And so I have found that the more smiles you give yourself, the more abundant you are. The more you give the world, the more abundant you are, because it's causing people to want to be together and to create together and to trust together and to cause happiness together.
Beautiful. And it's just like that song, smile though your heart is breaking. It's like that. The point of the smile at that point.
Nat King Cole, right?
Well, I'm thinking of the Michael Jackson version.
Okay.
It was his favorite song ever written.
Mm-hmm.
It was his favorite song ever done. And he was like, no matter what you're going through, if you just share a smile, you'll feel better about whatever you're going through. Yes, this is what I'm saying. Yes, when you smile, you're saying, I am open to the divine, open to the world, open to love, open to all those things. Smiling, I think, raises your consciousness. It raises what resonance you're vibrating it at. It raises and allows instead of pushes away and diminishes.
And there is direct abundance connected to smiles, because I don't want this to sound fluffy at all. There is actually money in the bank on this, and I want to actually address that real quickly. If you are looking at your SPH and we put that aside and we put that into the reviews instead of SPH. So if you are saying to a client, you want to watch your sales go through the roof, then use this comment. I'm committed to making you happy. What would that take? Because then it's not a conversation, will you do business with me?
I'm committed to making you happy. What would that take?
Yeah, because they tell you what it would take, which means the review is done. If you're not asking that question, no one else is either. So it's a decision across the board. But when you ask that question, you become the outlier. You become the person they say, well, he cares about my happiness, or she cares about my happiness. And that happiness, whether it's a wedding or a cup of coffee, I don't care what it is. You have just said, this is the person I want to work with.
Yes.
So it's real money. It's real money in the bank. I promise you. I have about 2,000 5-star reviews, and I don't have to work hard to collect them, because I say before we start, I say, how would I get a 5-star review from you? What would that look like? Because we're not in a conversation where you're doing business with someone else. You're doing business with me, because I'm committed to that. And I don't ever say that. That's what I'm feeling. And that's what my self-talk is. So when I'm saying to them, what would it take to get a 5-star from you? They've just told me, hey, no one else asked that. Or they're leaving saying no one else asked that. And they're going to say, you know what? I want to work with someone that cares about that question. And that's happiness. That's smiles. It really is. It's completely correlated to it. And what causes you, the interesting thing is, let's say you weren't as big on customer service. The second you say that, now you become big about customer service. So you actually have a transformation yourself, and it causes really the beauty of what people should experience when they're doing business. A salesman is not someone that sells. It's someone that actually gives value. It's someone that solves a problem. It's someone that actually embraces that humanity deserves a break, that they deserve more abundance. They deserve to have a happier life. That's sales. That's real sales.
That's right. Oh, God, I love that definition. There should be a sales book coming out of you soon. I want to drop down here. Ken Rochon, you can hear and feel your authenticity in the resonance of your voice. You exude and emit your love for others. Now, that is the power of love, and I can feel the love over the internet. Thank you for being you.
Yeah, let's connect, Donald. I'd like to send you a book. Thank you. You've made a lot of great comments. So connect with me.
And then thanks, Ken. Love this show. I have a wicked case of the warm fuzzies. Love that.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah, it is. Karen pops off. The higher your SPH smiles per hour, I guarantee you, the more abundant you are. That is correct. Ken, I want to tell you, this has been a special show for me. One, my heart is full and it's kind of up in my throat because I enjoy meeting people who are so enriching in conversation when so giving of their, and it was so simple. There was no hard complexities to it. It was so simple to add this kind of joy into your life. You guys buy his books, but I want to know, what if they want to get in contact with you? What if they want to maybe work with you or do something? How can they contact you? What's the best way for them to?
Well, there's a nice group that we have on Facebook, and it is called the Keep Smiling Ambassadors, and you're welcome to participate. I think it's about 3,000 or 4,000 people, but it's really a tight group of people that care about joy and making people's day. So that's one. I'm kind of a wacko. I give my cell number out, and until that becomes a regrettable experience, I will actually give that today. 202-701-0911. 202-701-0911. I actually love texting people and finding out how I can help them. So if you text me, I only ask you a couple favors. One is that you tell me who you are, and that is also with a picture of you smiling. And if you do provide an email and you tell me what books you want, or if you want links to my books, I'm happy to give them, as I said in the show, just to make a difference in your life. And most importantly, if you'd like to bring joy to the world, or you'd like to leave a legacy, talk to me. I'd love to help you. It's really my mission in life.
Thank you. It has been so, I'm really happy. Thank you.
As am I. And it's contagious. And I don't say that to self-serve my name of Ken Tagious. It really is contagious.
All right, you guys, that's a copyright. Ken, he might be contacting and saying hello in the Facebook group live down there. It has been a joy having you on. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much,
It has
Vickie.
been so nice to catch up with you. It was just really fun. All right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. I know you're going to be talking about him tomorrow. We'll do a little bit of that, but we got surprises for you tomorrow. We will see you then. Mwah! Peace out, everybody.
Thank you, Vickie. Take care.
Hey, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes.